Those of you who are here in Dominica, those of you as well in the region, pleasant good evening to you. I'm also saying pleasant good evening to those of you further afield. It's always a pleasure. The friends of this program as well, even if you're not a Dominican, the followers of this program each and every Saturday, a pleasant good evening to you as well. Folks, if you're hearing me loud and clear, just give me a thumbs up, as I want to make sure that you guys are hearing me loud and clear out there. All right, okay, Marley Ostry says yes, she's hearing loud and clear. And so once Marley's hearing, then I guess the others, Arlene Pierce says yes, Brian Francis thumbs up. So yes, so we are cooking on gas, as it were, loud and clear, Ian St. Mary. So thank you very much for your feedback thus far. All right, much appreciated. Folks, tonight being the 16th night of December 2023, and yes, it's another time of engagement. I dubbed this program, I call this program our Saturday Night Live Engagement. All right, that program is basically geared at us as a people coming together and have a discussion about country primarily. And so whatever is good about our country, we speak about it. Whatever is bad about our country, we also speak about it. And as well, the in-between, we also do justice with that cause as well. So on that note, Dominicans, I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And it's just another Saturday Night Live program that we have here with you. This evening, I can tell you, it's one of a heavy metal, as it would program, I must tell you. So you but got to make yourself very, very comfortable at this time, because we're gonna go into some very deep stuff, some heavy matters. This evening, we have some topics that we want to cover, but I can tell you primarily the meatier part of the discussion / conversation tonight, folks, will be the matter whereby a foreigner lived in Dominica, invested in Dominica for some time. He and his partner, they were brutally murdered in the south of the island. And so this evening we'll be going through some court documents whereby the deceased had in the court, and I am saying based on what I read, that maybe that situation that pushed or was the catalyst for this brother's death and his partner. So we are going to go into some matters as pertains to some facts. If you know me very, very well, I always pride myself with dealing with facts. I hear many, many things, but I also always try to be acquainted with the facts of any matter, and yes, bring them to you guys in a very clear, crystal, and unambiguous manner. So, Dominicans, before we get into the real meat of things, I want to give us an idea of the different subject matters we'll be touching on tonight. Tonight in the Marigot area, that's the Marigot constituency primarily, I'm being told of a tree lighting ceremony. We are in the Christmas season. For those of you who believe in Christmas, we're in the Christmas season, and under the auspices, I'm being told of the, should I say, the new parlor for the area, Mr. Anthony Charles. There is a tree lighting ceremony that maybe should have started already, and so a lot of carols will be heard tonight in Marigot. And so those of you in that general area, I think Marigot should be the place for you tonight. All right, so go support a worthy cause as Mr. Anthony Charles, the power rep for that area, is coming together with the community, that is, and he's putting on that event tonight. Also, as we shift gear, I want to tell you as well, again in Marigot, but this time it's tomorrow, I'm being told, the Delegates Conference of the United Workers' Party, it will be held in Marigot tomorrow. As to the specific in terms of time and other details, I am not privy to those. What I know for sure, it is, or it will be held in Marigot tomorrow. And I know lots of eyes and ears, they are glued as to what will come out of tomorrow's delegates conference where the United Workers' Party is concerned. You're hearing some things on the ground and you're hearing other things on the ground, but we wait till tomorrow. About that time we should have an idea. About 6 o'clock tomorrow, I am hopeful that we should have known some of the details, factually that is, that transpired at that all-important delegates conference, where one of the main items on the agenda, it will be the nomination / election of a leader. The present leader of that party is Dr. Thompson Fontaine, and so maybe he might get a nod for another year, or he may be ousted as well. So you never know. So that is why all eyes and ears will be glued tomorrow as to exactly what will be the outcome of that delegates conference in Marigot tomorrow, I'm being told. All right, folks, I also too want to, as we move from Marigot constituency, I also would like to bring to your attention as well something that transpired some time back, but it was quite significant then, and I still think it is quite significant today. Citing where we are, the much talked about electoral reform situation for Dominica. We well remember, those of you who are following local events in Dominica, you guys would have well remember May of 2017, where the Dominica Labour Party, still holding reins of power today, went to Parliament, and at that time, one of the line items on the agenda to be discussed in Parliament and most likely would have passed if they had their way was treating or ensuring treating, which is now illegal on our electoral books, and bribery, which is also illegal on our books. They were trying to make that legal, or those two situations legal, whereby treating, meaning paying people, giving them perks, whatever it is, for their vote on, before, or after election day, they were going to make that legal. So today as we speak, if they had their way, that is the Dominica Labour Party, then to bribe somebody to vote for you or for them, it would be legal. That happened in 2017. And also the whole issue of bribery. We should all know what bribery means. It speaks for itself. It is not supposed to be part and parcel of any electoral process. More so for a country like Dominica that parades itself under the banner of a democracy. And so you remember what transpired then, or let me jog back you guys' memory, those of you who forget. May of 2017, the Dominica Labour Party, through the Attorney General, that is Mr. Levi Peter, took before the House two items. as I said. And they were going to make those things legal. So Levi Peter and the government tabled before the House 2 bills, and they were going to make them legal. And so the people of Dominica, we stood our ground and we said, that is not happening today. And there was a big commotion outside of Parliament on High Street. I remember that like I'm speaking to you like yesterday. And because of the public outcry, because of the public pressure that was placed on Parliament, they had no choice but to pull back those bills from being tabled in Parliament. What they said to the Dominican public then was that they were going back to the drawing board. Meaning, they were going to see or look into the offending matters, they say, which is the bribery and treating aspect of what they were going to table. And they would rework it, or they would remove it completely and come back to Parliament for some sort of discussion/approval. They also gave the Dominican public their commitment that they would be going around the country to educate the Dominican people by and large as to the amended portions or the amended version of these bills that would be subsequently tabled before Parliament. Up till now, people, we are still waiting for the Attorney General, that is Mr. Levi Peter, / and the Dominica Labour Party to do just that. And I can put in the loop as well, the Electoral Commission. Nothing. So we have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We are in December of 2023. A number of years have passed and nothing. And so it's on that note, I want to bring to your attention now something in just a while. So keep that in mind. All right? Let us move on, people. We have been hearing in Dominica, especially around this Christmas season, about some sort of, what should I call, discount, concession, whatever it is. Especially those of you who have to receive your barrels on the port. So those of you who are expecting barrels, the government of the day came to tell you guys that I think over a period of 2 weeks from the 7th to the 20-something, whatever they did, I can't remember now. Somebody who was more astute to listening to Scary deliver that speech can punch the dates in there. And for some Dominicans who heard that, and you guys are comfortable with that, I did some research. Thank you, Mr. Marie, 7th to the 27th. Okay? I did some research in the region because we are living in one regional space. And for some of you, you think what happens in Dominica, it is the only thing that is happening on the planet. I know we call our country an entire planet, but in reality, we are part and parcel of the whole global architecture. Thank you guys for punching those dates. Yeah? So, I'm going to tell you guys, unlike that $10 discount, removal, whatever you want to call it, per barrel on the port between a 3-week period from the 7th to the 27th, I'm being told that Dominicans are being looked upon now to be given. I'm going to give you guys an idea of what Antigua is doing, of what St. Vincent and the Grenadines, these people are doing. St. Kitts and Nevis, what they're doing. And also, let me see here. Yes, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Just those three. And we're going to compare and contrast what we are hearing in Dominica. Okay? We're going to do just that. So, as I said, please be very, very comfortable as we are about to take flight in just a while in terms of the information to come in. All right? Good. Now, the more meatier part of the discussion tonight, as I said before, is the situation whereby a man, and not just a man, he was a very industrious man in the name of Mr. Daniel Langlois from Canada, who resided in Dominica for some time, invested heavily in Dominica. He and his partner, Dominic Marchand, we have been told, these two people, they were brutally cut down to their death. We have been told in Dominica, based on the evidence so far, that they were shot, most likely. Bullets through their bodies. And then, that was not enough in terms of their death. By the perpetrators, we've been told. They were moved to another area in the south, named Galion to be precise, where their bodies were burnt. And it is also suspected before they were burnt, before their bodies were burnt, acid was poured over their flesh. And then subsequently burnt in their vehicle. And so it doesn't get more horrific than that, people. And yes, that happened in the Dominica, the Commonwealth of Dominica, 1st of December 2023 thereabout. So I'm not telling you a Nancy story. I am not making up a story. This is not no fiction. It is real as daylight. But more importantly though, or alongside that, there was a court matter that the deceased, that is Mr. Langlois, placed in our court system to be adjudicated upon, whereby he thought his rights were being trampled upon by another foreigner, it has been said. And when I read through the reporting of the court on that matter, it is clear to me that I can conclude maybe, just maybe, the outcome of that court debacle was the last straw, as it were, that broke the camel's back, whereby Mr. Daniel and Miss Dominic were brutally murdered in Dominica. And so we're going to go through some records tonight. Because sometimes you hear things, but it is sessions like this, these one-on-one sessions, where we could take more time to line by line, item by item, so that you could understand. That is where things get clarified, your eyes are opened, as it were, and that is why we always treasure these times with you. And finally, on the Civic Vibes program tomorrow, people, we're going to step it up a notch. We'll be having a very special invited guest tomorrow. I will leave that for when the guest comes in tomorrow. And we'll be continuing on where I will be leaving you guys tonight. Also too, I can tell you there's a 50% chance Mr. Alvin Thomas may not be with us tomorrow, but we always have a backup somewhere. And so our well-known Paula Celestine, who used to do those duties before Alvin Thomas emerged, she has consented to be with us tomorrow, at least to hold the thought. And so Paula, most likely, everything holding equal, will be with us tomorrow. All right? And so we'll be going as Dominicans now, dissecting everything and anything as it pertains to that case. Lydia Harrison says, love, be careful what you say, interfering with investigation. Well, Lydia Harris, thank you for your counsel, your wise counsel. I concede, but at the end of the day, all the matters that I'll be diving into tonight, it is already in the public domain. It is for public consumption. The court matter that I'll be referring to, whereby a decision was given, that is public record. But thank you for your advice nonetheless. All right? And no, I'll not be going nowhere close to trying to interfere with any investigation. But I must tell you though, if you ask me personally, my own opinion, read that matter, very sordid matter, I can only hope and pray, like you guys out there, that some justice be meted out where Daniel and Dominic is concerned. But in Dominica, the justice system in Dominica that I know, I am not holding my breath on that for any form of justice to be meted out. That is just my personal take on the matter. I am saying, if outside pressure, especially from Canada, because these people were Canadians by birth, it is not applied to the justice system here. If that pressure from outside is not multiplied on the justice system here, or the court system here, a matter of fact, I'll be very sad to report to you guys. Very, very sad. But I don't want to be cook, as they say, bottle washer and chief. So let's continue on, people. It's already 6:30. The preamble was very long. But let me touch some of you guys now by name who are here before we actually start tonight's session. All right? Ian St. Marie, Rosie Nice, good evening to you. Christine Burnett, you're also there. Lucilla Luis, Hayo, hi, you're also there. Deborah Jules, Devin Joseph, Sherman Boston, good evening to you, my bro. Penelope Reed, you're also there. We also have Liney, Loda, Jack. Dei, Jojo, good evening to you, Dei. Celia, not Celia, Silas Luis, you're also there. Alan Pierre, Merlin Gordon, Alex Batley, Lydia Harrison, Margel Durand, good evening to you, Margel, you and your family at this time. Olivia Joseph Dory, Brother Dory Drygo. Kibi Omulara, is that? Yes, Omulara, wow. Calvert Romney, you're also there. Corbett Bully, Karen Joseph, Annie Spice, John Squared, you're there. Billy Anthony, Tizier LaRose, Claudette Durand, Brother Bernard Aline out of the UK at this time. We also have Kendra Alexis, you're there. Good evening to you, Kendra. Dernell George. We have Kiki B. Omulara. That's another surname that is clicking up here under another name. But good evening to you. Mali Ostri, you and your usual folks that you normally pull around with you when you're live. good evening. Moses Edmond, Augustine Lockhart, Nazarene Prince, Cynthia Shillingford, Billy Anthony, Navir Newman, that is my friend from Grenada. Navir says here, gun violence is beginning to take root in the Caribbean. It is sickening and frightening. Our leaders need to focus less on selling passports and put serious focus on curbing gun violence. Navir, I can't agree with you much less, but thank you nonetheless. Ms. Newman, continue to do that good work, all right? You are a firecracker in your own way, always speaking truth to power. And whenever I have the time, once you're alive, I am there with you as well. Nigel Corriott, Nazarene Prince, I taught you already, I believe. Patricia Fontaine, Gloria McLawrence, Veronica Pascal. Is that what? All J. Monique Telemark, good evening to you. We also have one that goes by the name of Forever Grateful Ogis. You're also there. Talking about Ogis, my Kalinago people in that part of Dominica, good evening to you. They call it the Kalinago territory. We have the Ogis, we have the Barries, we have the Valmors, we have the, just name them. We have some special surnames up there. We also have here Gon Claudion. Yes, is that G-O-R-N, pardon, Claudion. We also have Candy Baron, Dakota Candy Baron. Good evening. John Francis, Ophelia Pierre, Carl, Brother Carl, Kofi James. Good evening to you, bro. Watson Duvini, good evening. Melba Donna Robin, you're also there. Good evening as well. Dana Philbert Peterson, Cassandra Del Sol, Tony Sablon, Ferrelyn Simon. Who else we have here watching with us and listening as well? Ashby, Scotland, you're there. Ivenia, Joseph. Who else we have? I think I touched Romney already. Shanna George, Rosa Albert, Heather Pierre-Louis, you're also there. Heather, good evening. We also have Madame Paula, yes. Joseph Parilla, Valda Elwa, Jennifer Defoe, Annie Aaron, William James, Ninex Pierre, Ronald Sabroch, Olivia Roll, yes, Larry Lloyd, Louis Francis, Mayan Tavernier Morley, good evening. Mafia, Lucien. We also have Mathan Durant joining in here as well. So folks, all of you who are already here, in the interest of time, we have to take flight. Everlasting Peter, Ashraf Bello just joining in. All of you, good evening to you in a very, very special way indeed. All right, in the interest of time, we have to move on, people. All right, as I said at the start of the program, this evening the tree lighting ceremony is taking place in Marigot, or a tree lighting ceremony is taking place in Marigot. So those of you who are in that area, please support that cause, especially those of you who believe in this time of the year. All right, under the auspices, I'm being told, of Mr. Anthony Charles, that is the parliamentary representative for the area. He and his people up there, they're putting on that event for the constituency, all right, for the constituents. I also said to you guys earlier, but just to reinforce it, the United Workers' Party, they are having their delegates conference tomorrow, for those of you just tuning in now, in the Marigot area, I'm being told. So eyes and ears will be watching, will be glued as to exactly the outcome of that delegates conference tomorrow. The main, or one of the key items on the agenda, will be where the party, the United Workers' Party, as a body, as an organization, they will be putting the leadership of the party up to the test tomorrow. As I said before, the now leader is Dr. Thompson Fontaine. Some of you may have heard him made a pitch for another round last Friday, I believe, yes, on Q95. And so there may be some other names in the bag as it pertains to the leadership of that party. And so it will be very, very interesting. I'm being told as well the other positions are up for grabs as well. But one of the key things that will be sought after tomorrow and will be looked into tomorrow by a number of persons, it is the whole idea of leadership of the United Workers' Party. All right, so that is taking place tomorrow, the 17th, yes, the 17th of December in the Marigot area. Dominicans, let's fast forward. In May 2017, the government of Dominica, headed none other by Roosevelt Skerritt, through his Attorney General Levi Peter, they went to Parliament and was going to make something that is illegal from since we knew our country, Dominica. They were going to try to make it legal. And I'm specifically talking about the whole bribery and treating aspect in our elections. The people, as I said, stood up outside Parliament, got wind of that, and said nothing is happening in that department. Because of the outside pressure, because of the, the agitation from the people outside on High Street, the government had no choice but to pull back, scale back their hand, as it were, and said to the Dominican people, then they will look at the offending things in the bills and they will try to change and come back. They also promised to go to go around the country to the different constituencies and sort of educate or enlighten the people as to what would be coming before Parliament read the amended version. But as I said, up till now, nothing in that department. And so the whole thrust for making Dominica electoral process freer and fairer has been on the cards for some time now. For the better part of this year, it was a big hullabaloo. A matter of fact, I am saying after stealing in big broad daylight the last general election, the Dominica Labour Party said that first thing come January of this year, they would look into the whole idea of a freer and fairer framework for the electoral process. Folks, we're in December. A whole year has basically elapsed and nothing of substance in that department to benefit the people of Dominica. Because a lot of times when you hear about electoral reform, especially from the common man standpoint, they always think it's for political parties. Yes, I agree it will benefit political parties more, but a free and fair framework, people, it is for you and I. That process, the importance thereof is for you and I. So we must remove from our mind the notion that making the system freer and fairer, it is just for politicians' benefit or for those in the political circles. That is the single time, or one of the times, that you, through the power of your vote, your X, your qua, can make or change governance or government in your country. And so that time should be taken very, very seriously. But that time can also be detrimental if you and I don't partake of what is happening, especially in a free and fair or freer and fairer, because some people say it is free and fair. I choose to say it needs to be freer, fairer, and much more transparent. That is the issue we have, people. The system, the process, it is not transparent enough. It is not free enough. It is not fair enough. And when you and I grew up, the golden rule was and still is today, be firm but be fair. And so if at the highest order of business in our land now, that golden rule cannot be applied across the board in a very transparent manner, then it doesn't make sense we call ourselves a country. Because that process is what underpins everything that happens in the country. And that is the process that has been so corrupted over the years that right about now, it really doesn't matter if you vote or if you don't. It really doesn't matter. Because these corruptors, I call them, have corrupted the process so much, and so to the T, they have perfected it, that even before you cast your vote, they know the outcome of the election. And we normally used to see those things, or still see those things happening in certain quarters of the globe. And I know we used to tell ourselves that that can never happen in our country. And it is happening. So, let me rush on to the point that I want to make now, drive it home to move on. Yours truly in 2018 went to the court in Dominica, that's the high court. And I basically, through affidavits and other pieces of evidence, basically told the court through my lawyer, hey, the process that the government is embarking on, it is not right. And in order for us to make it right as a country, yours truly is seeking some sort of stop to the process. So whatever they were going to table before Parliament, I asked the court to stop that process. And in the legal terms, they call that an injunction. But like cunning men, like deceptive men and women, when these corruptors got wind that the court maybe would have granted that injunction, in other words, the court would maybe put a stay on proceedings and ask that the government, the Electoral Commission, the Electoral Office, and the handlers put things right, make things right in a certain manner before that process can continue in terms of tabling it before Parliament. You know what the corruptors did? They reneged. They never brought them back before Parliament. And so that is why you in the out districts, you in the constituencies did not see them as promised. Because in their mind, that exercise they were going on would be one of futility. And so that is why you didn't see them. Because they knew jolly well that there was something pending in the court whenever, if ever, they chose to go back to the house to do any shenanigans with the electoral process. And so I brought that back to our attention tonight to let us understand the impact or the gravity of that situation that yours truly took in the interest of us in Dominica. And so a lot of times, some of us, we forget. But if these corrupt people had their way, if there was nothing standing in their way as to the law, I am suggesting they would have gone to Parliament and have the people under gunpoint and said in Parliament, the ayes have it. And today, we would be like any of the leftist countries in the world, whereby it really doesn't make sense to have general elections. So I just plug that in there, people, to remind us of that action taken by yours truly in 2018. 5 years later, we are still waiting on the government / the electoral office / the commission to get their act together and do things right in the interests of us in Dominica. 5 years later. And what is it going to take, people, if you ask me? As the system is now, these people are comfortable in their corruption. They are comfortable in their corrupt ways. What it is going to take is for you and I to ensure that they make it right in our interests. And so that level of agitation must continue. That level of vociferousness, meaning you make a noise. It was John Lewis who said in the 70s, they asked him about making noise. He said yes. He made noise, but his noise was good noise. He made good trouble then. And so when some of these corruptors tell you and I that we are just troublemakers, we should tell them we are good troublemakers for our country's sake. Because if it wasn't for these troublemakers, as it were, they would have run off already with the cream of the country. And we would be holding the carcass. Dominicans, we can do better than that. Your power, my power, our power, coupled together is what move or can move mountains. And we have had a mountain in our way in Dominica, and we cannot afford any more of that in Dominica, people. So I am telling us, I am beseeching us, I am imploring on us. Let us do what we have to do. Let us be united in one accord to save our country from these corruptors. It is 10 minutes to 7 o'clock. Let me see what some of you guys are saying. Gloria McLaurin says, shed a light. I loved his calling out persons so more can join us. We need people to be informed. Larry Lloyd says, asterisk, justice. Who else we have here saying things? Let me see. We have William James says, at this time, it is a huge emotional situation in the early stages of this incident. This is going to just fade away. Any change that needs to take place in Dominica, in my opinion, has to be primarily in the hands of the Dominican people. That's a comment from one William James. Malius writes, they'll tired change leaders. Magali John Jewel says, it's a delegate conference, so the leader will change, unlike the government that doctor for hundreds of years. That's Magali John Jewel's comment. What's that? Celius Luis says, they have been giving people money. And that is a fact, because I saw with my own 2 eyes during the election of 2019. Certain surrogates of the Dominica Labour Party, I know them by face, I know them by name. They were sharing around monies in these little brown paper bags. I saw that. And so I'm not telling you what somebody told me. All right, so that case or that point that Luis is making there, he is on point. And so here goes the treating and bribery or bribing that we were talking about earlier. During the cycle of trying to put a government in place to run the affairs of state, their surrogates are on the ground sharing money, basically inducing persons how to vote and who to vote for. And that is a fact. Claudia says, Skerrit said, no law, no constitution can prevent him from doing whatever he wants to do. The country must be a reflection of the leader's behavior and a lack of respect towards the citizenry of the country. Brother Alexander from Grand Bay says, peace, folks. Carl Kofi James says, lofty and thinking, apart from the possibility of the crime not being with justice for the victims and the families, there's something we need to pay very close attention to. He continues by writing, this has to be with the property of the deceased. Let's wait to see who assumes ownership / responsibility of the property. This, I think, will paint the true motive behind the crime. It will also highlight the real reason or inactions of the authorities as per complaints and concerns raised against the accused by the victims and citizens in the area of the incident. Carl, thank you very much, my brother, for your comment. And that comment, I can tell you, have been making waves, making rounds on the ground in Dominica, so you're not alone. John Joseph writes, true, we need to wait to see. Someone seems to be after the property. Who else we have here writing? Before we move on. Dory Drago says, kudos, bro, for the foresight. You have put a spook in your will. Pressure and more pressure will get the attention. Make good trouble. He says in quotes, close quote, Representative John Lewis. Thank you, Brother Drago. Who else we have here? I'm just trying to look for some new names in terms of comments. Dave Bertrand says, Lofty, someone has to take the initiative to bring the opposition forces together. Margel Dira writes, similar thoughts, Carl Kofi James. All right, so Carl, Brother Margel Dira is agreeing with you on your point you made. All right. Yeah, Dave. Dave says someone has to take the initiative to bring the opposition forces together. Well, Brother Dave, that I can tell you, we may have to spend an entire program on that. All I can tell you is that there were many attempts to put those words of yours into action in Dominica, but for some reason or reasons, it has not happened as yet. There is the hope that it will happen, but not just yet in the way that we'd really like it to. All right, that is as much as I would want to comment on that for now. Folks, it is 5 minutes to 7 o'clock. Those of you who have comments, please send them in, because 7 o'clock we're going into, as I said before, the public document that is out there. But we are going through line by line tonight. We will not finish it tonight for sure, but we are going to take up some paragraphs in the document, in the court document, as it pertains to that case that the deceased had before the court. And I am saying, based on my reading into that matter, that may just be the catalyst that brought their demise. Yeah? All right. Just before we go there though, let me see if I can get that PC opened up. Just before we go there, people, just before we go there is someone living in Canada, a Dominican living in Canada, that wrote to a newspaper called the Toronto Star. For those of you who live in Canada, I think you will know. I'm just trying to pull this up. I think you will know that paper very well. But the Toronto Star. And so let me read to you now what one person, one Dominican, a concerned Dominican, has wrote to the Toronto Star as it pertains to the next topic that we are going into tonight. The person writes to the Toronto Star, concerned citizen. Good afternoon. Thank you for covering the story. And the story that person is referring to is the story that we are talking about now, where 2 persons were murdered in Dominica in very, very horrific ways. Good afternoon. Thank you for covering the story. I'm a Dominican by birth who immigrated to Canada as a child. Please keep the coverage going on this case. We are all saddened by the death of Mr. Daniel and Miss Dominique. The citizens of Dominica are being victimized and are afraid to speak up due to a government under Roosevelt Scarrett. He has been alleged, the person wrote, to have stolen the election, sells passport to unsavory characters. Open quote now. The information is out there with a quick Google search, close quote. We want justice. That person continues. Feel free to contact me. So I am saying that person most likely gave their information to the Star newspaper. I can also get you in contact with individuals who can support or add to what I am saying. Thanks again. Regards. And that person chose to remain anonymous. So as always, I always respect the wishes of persons who share information with me in very anonymous ways. But that is just one Dominican living in Canada, very concerned about what happened in Dominica and continues to happen in Dominica. And he or she, they are not just talking, but they're acting. And so I want to thank that person very, very much for taking that step, because it is these little steps that will get that fire cracking, get that fire going. It is your spark, my spark, everybody's sparks put together will yield the results we're looking for. All right? Cool. Okay. Just before, I forget a good chunk of the conversation tonight. Dominica, from the 7th to the 27th, we're switching gear now. We have been told by the government of the day in Dominica that those of you who go to the port to clear barrels coming from your loved ones overseas, you will be given a $10 off per barrel. And there are stipulations, there are regulations, I've been told, that go with that as well. And if these people suspect that the items in the barrel is for sale, I'm being told that $10 discount will fly out of the window, and that barrel will be adjudged or be valued at whatever value, and you have to pay whatever it is. Okay? So it is not a cut and dry. It is not a cut and dry thing that you just go there and bring in stuff, especially for Sydney Dominica. But what I want to tell us or bring to attention, even more importantly, is while some of you guys are celebrating a $10 discount or $10 off or whatever it is per barrel in Dominica, just doing my research around the region, in Antigua, and we know the relationship between Roosevelt and Gaston. But every time Gaston keeps outwitting Scary. So in Antigua, Gaston is basically telling his people, you know something? Just give to the customs $1, one easy dollar, and do whatever you have to do. And then, everything will be okay. In Dominica, it's the opposite. So whilst Antigua and Barbudans are sort of enjoying the cream of their country by at least a, reasonable, rational enough something for the Christmas season, that is. What are we getting in Dominica? So for those of you who like to make a big hullabaloo about nothing in Dominica, you just need to look around to see what is happening around you. Still in Antigua, let me get to my notes so I get that one right. Still in Antigua, I'm being told there's an ABST, meaning an Antigua and Barbuda sales tax, which is now at 15%, just like us in Dominica. But for 3 days, there will be a reduction, I'm being told, from very, very confirmed sources, whereby the people of Antigua and Barbuda will only be paying, I think, 5 and 10%. So that sales tax will be reduced. Dominica, nothing like that. Have we heard anything like that in Dominica? There have been countless number of calls for that tax, that VAT they call it, to be reduced, but nothing. But in Antigua, there is some reduction in that sales tax. Yeah? So when we bawling about stuff in Dominica and singing hallelujah, let us just look outside, just outside our window to see what is happening. And don't tell me about inflation internationally, no, because that is across the board. So why can Antigua and Barbudans have it and we don't have it in Dominica? Why can they be enjoying some things in Antigua, in St. Kitts, in St. Vincent, in St. Lucia, and we in that same space, the same economic space? We sell passport like them, even more than them. St. Vincent not in that. And we cannot give our people anything back, anytime. And we're talking about good governance. Anytime a government is not innovative in thought, to me they are plateau. They are no use, so we can get rid of them. Somebody just reminded me about the COVID stimulus during the stimulus packages during the COVID time. And you're so correct, Catherine. We never got that in Dominica. The bus drivers had to pull strike and they got some little whatever from Social Security. But after that, nothing. Nothing. The small businesses in Dominica that were crippled under COVID and all their measures and draconian in nature, nothing came their way, the small businesses in particular. And so we continue as a people to celebrate. We continue to celebrate our misery. That's what we're doing. And it is very, very sad to see where we are, people. Very, very sad. In the budget speech of Gaston, the one that just concluded, he said there will be a, what do you call it, a sin tax. That's what they call it, sin tax. And that is basically a tax on alcohol, beverages, and tobacco, and effects like that. Now that tax, it is raised on these things. Again, that is thinking in the right department. In Dominica, what we see is alcohol. Every time is alcohol. You go in, the government invite you to something, they just give you rum, you see woe, you get drunk, you tumble down, and then that's it. Any little school child today can go in any shop, although we have laws, regulations against that, and can just buy alcohol free of charge. Roosevelt's carried government, in terms of policy, made 28 grams of marijuana legal in the country. So all where you go in Dominica, people just huffing and puffing. Just huffing and puffing, huffing and puffing. They don't care who they are, who not there, children, elderly. On the road corners, in businesses, everywhere. It's just smoke all over the place. 28 grams free. You can get away. What are you doing? And you remember that came in place just to try to win a vote, catch a vote. But obviously, when you catch your vote, to try to pull it back now or take it back, you can't do that. So that level of madness that goes on into our elections, it is working anti our development. We already don't have a working hospital. Mr. VC Bird, thank you my brother, VC Bird the third, said he's checking in from Antigua at this time. Well, you'll correct me if I'm saying anything wrong about your country, my brother. Thanks for tuning in. That's my brother in Antigua. Where was I? Yes, we don't have an effective running healthcare facility or facilities in Dominica. And so when all these people's lungs will be compromised, especially the younger generation, where are we going? Where are we going? When your liver will be compromised because of alcohol consumption, where are we going? The overdose. Where are we going? I guess our graveyards will be enlarging. That's the only possibility. At least, Gaston is trying to reduce on the alcohol consumption and tobacco or cigarette smoking or marijuana, whatever it is. But in Dominica, we are offering that to our people en masse. Now I guess what Gaston gave to his people in terms of their little discount or whatever it is, a bonus or whatever it is for the Christmas season, I'm being told he's taking it back, or he wants to take it back come next year. Because from 15%, the VAT, and Bearbird is there, he can bear me out on that. My correspondent told me, most likely, you guys' sales tax will be going up by 2%. Come 2024, 17%. That is in Antigua and Barbuda. Grenada, the rookie. When I say rookie, no disrespect. He's very young in age, 45 years of age. Mr. Deacon Mitchell in Grenada. My friend Navia is there, so she can bear me out on that as well. In Grenada, I'm being told all public officers, regardless of their classification, will receive an ex gratia payment, they call it, for Christmas, a bonus for Christmas. All right? Of 25% of their base salary. That is in Grenada. So no matter what classification you are in the system in Grenada, the public service that is, Deacon Mitchell and its administration is promising a 25% on your base. Not what you get after your emoluments and your perks, no. Your base. So if your base is 3,000, 3,000 plus 25% for Christmas, just for Christmas. What are we getting in Dominica? Zilch, zero. A matter of fact, instead they are taking now to throw rubbish in Dominica, which is supposed to be packaged in what we pay on the port, the high prices that we pay on the port in terms of taxes. There's a move now to let all Dominicans pay extra to throw rubbish in the lavas, in the landfill. We heard it as well. Water rate may go up in January 24. So the luxury that you guys are enjoying now in terms of $25, $40, $70, whatever it is for water, that rate most likely, as you heard Mr. Etinoff said, they cannot continue, and they're asking for an increase. And the government, based on my information, has already given them a nod in that department. So here we go. We are not touching the economy tonight. We are not touching it tonight. Let's leave that for another conversation. Because the economy in Dominica, it really cannot support itself. Today is what, the 16th of December, people. And for those of you who grew in Dominica like me, and who knew that place they call Dominica, especially around Creole Festival and Christmas time in particular, we all knew that Dominica then. And let us now honestly compare that Dominica now. And let us be true to ourselves. Walk in Roseau next week Monday, and you'll see what I'm telling you. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. You remember those days when people used to go window shopping in Roseau, making their eyes boil their peas just to ascertain what they want to buy? You don't have that again. Ipanisa, that done. Those days are done. First of all, Chinese took over the city center, and so is everywhere you go is, I can't speak Mandarin. Every other store you go in Roseau is Chinatown. China garbage, I call it. Chinese garbage that has been dumped on us as a people. And I guess they say beggars are no choosers. Well, we have been begging for some time. So we can do very little choosing in that department. Walk around Roseau. See the stalls in Roseau. See the business sector in Roseau. See what is happening in Roseau. And Roseau should be a gauge. Roseau should be, the city should be a barometer, a yardstick as to what should go on in the out districts. And so if Roseau, if your heart is dead, if you ain't pumping, the hands and the rest of the body can't do nothing. All because of a government that don't have any foresight. They killed the economy and it's to its knees. I am waiting. It is not too far. Civil servants, I don't want to rock your boat as yet, but truth must be told. You guys' eyes will be open, if they are not as yet, when 2 months months will come and you cannot get your full salary. That is in the pipeline. And you can take that to the bank. That is when the engine of the economy, the civil servants, the civil service, they're going to be jolted into some sort of action. Because where we are now and where we are intending to go, economic-wise, it is not good. And so there's a move now to squeeze every facet, every aspect of society to get some money to help ease the pain of a dying economy. And that was forecasted many years ago. And now we are seeing it today. If it's not the Chinese that are here, if it's not the Chinese that are in Dominica today, bailing us out as a people through their little Chinese garbage, and these little projects, these health centers, this whatever, and this big, what do you call them, world boss they call themselves, MMC guy, that have all our money somewhere out there. Holy crap. We lock up already. Minus these two from extricate them from Dominica's economy, and we'll see the true picture. Like it or not, the passport money not coming in as is again. Let me repeat, like it or not, the passport money, it is not coming in again as it used to. So when you have a government, or what passes for government, all they know is to sell. It's like a paro government. They're selling their chairs in their house. They're selling their table. They're selling their fridge. They're selling every damn thing in the house. Dominica is a shell now. So don't look down on the paros too much. The paros are trying to survive. But we have a lot of political paros in Dominica today. I say that, because that's what I'm saying. Tout nuka this van. Nuka van parrot, van passport, van mon, van te. We're selling everything. There's nothing for Dominicans to be proud of. Nothing. Let's hurry on. Let me go back here. And I want to show you this one, because a lot of times you see people doesn't speak the truth. People lying to you. People this, people that. Let me show you this one. Let me pull this one closer to you. Those of you who have eyes can see. A little country that can fit into Dominica how many times over. Hear what they are offering their citizenry. St. Kitts and Nevis. It says here, Madam Speaker, and that is Mr. Drew speaking, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Madam Speaker, today, that was when he was giving his budget presentation, I am thrilled to share some other great news with our civil servants. So civil servants in Dominica, open all your ears now. Can your Prime Minister or the one who sits in the chair as Prime Minister tell you this? Have he ever told you that before? The civil servants of Dominica. Many of our workers in the public service continue to work hard to enable the government to deliver quality services to the public. Their dedication is commendable, and their commitment to the duties has not gone unnoticed, said Prime Minister Dr. Drew. In a gesture of goodwill and appreciation, the Prime Minister also announced a special Christmas bonus. And see what is highlighted there, people. On December 21st, 2023, that is in a couple days' time, all, not some, all civil servants, government auxiliary employees, they call them GAEs, pensioners, and step workers will receive a 50% salary bonus. And so I stop there in the interest of time. There's much more to the package, but I stop there. And so I want to genuinely ask Dominicans, where are we in this country? If St. Kitts and Nevis, that is selling passports to like us, and I am pretty sure St. Kitts and Nevis as a country don't have all this number of passport holders out there. They don't. Dominica have too numerous to mention, as they say in the deaf announcement. Passport holders / peddlers out there. And it would seem as if we are the most broke country in the region. Dr. Drew is offering his civil servants a 50% bonus on their salary among other benefits. And like Buple said in song, "Nu a Dominic, nu ka westi kranana, nothing, nil." But some of you, before these tricksters and politicians, or tricksters clothed in politicians' clothes, as Bob Marley called them, come around with a little ham, a little $500, a little turkey that is rightfully yours in the first place, and they give that to you. Some of you think, well, it's like manna they're giving you from above. And that, to me, it says a lot. It says a lot. If we in Dominica, well, not we, I'm not part of that. If you guys, if some of you in Dominica would want to reduce yourself to a piece of pork for Christmas or for the Christmas season, and or a $300 wrap up in a paper bag coming to you by like Woodini in the night, and or these little trinkets, I call them, coming to you in the night, so that your neighbor, who is not a supporter supposedly, don't see, don't get, and you guys are comfortable with that, then what else am I to say other than woe be unto you? Because I have never known my people to be that naive. I have never known Dominicans to be that docile. I have never known Dominicans to be in that kind of bracket whereby you are being used and abused times without number. And your abuser is smiling all the way to the bank. Or your abusers, they are smiling all the way to the bank. So some of you cannot tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, get up and make the breakfast of choice. You have to make the breakfast of need. And that's a fact. Some of you, and that's why I say some of us now, when we go to the supermarkets and the grocery store and whatever, we cannot take what we want. We have to take what we need, because we cannot go to the cashier and am and bought there. No. And that's the reality of Dominica's situation. This afternoon, you know, my own personal example this afternoon. I wouldn't call the supermarket name, lest they say I went into a supermarket this afternoon. I could show it to you. I could show it to you if it wasn't packed well already. A little thing of wings, a little macaroni to make up macaroni and pie, a little piece of cheese. What else? What else? What else? Two little $50 and change. You coming out now in any supermarket in Dominica with $100, well, it's $85, not 100. You have to have $115 to get $100 worth of groceries. Go in any store, go in any grocery, anywhere now, and make $115 worth of groceries. You call groceries, and you can give it to any child to carry outside for you, and they will have no problem carrying it out. That is how tight things get in the country. I cannot believe for the life of me when a young lady spoke to me maybe a month ago and tell me, Lofty, I am not getting $800 of my salary. And that young lady is working in a supermarket in Dominica, and a well-recognized supermarket at that. She's not making 800 EC dollars. Let me qualify that, people, as a cashier. I said, you're joking? She said, yes. A matter of fact, she said to me, it's better she was under the NEP. At least the NEP get 900 or whatever, trinkets from there as well. But imagine somebody that is controlling your money, going in your cash register for you per month, cannot go home with 1,000 EC dollars at least in their pocket. What do we have in this country, people? And some of us are comfortable with that. And when you talk about real change now, some of the same people, they tend to knock you down. They tend to tell you, shut up, move on aside. Some of these very same people who are suffering in silence. And that is the more sadder part of the situation. Some of the same young people who, over a period of time, have seen their life deteriorated. They were there, now they are there. Tomorrow they may be there. And during these sham election times, they pack you guys on sardines, like sardines, on trucks, on buses, on pickups, on cabways, with your red flag and your red horn and your red mug and your red rum. And you get politically drunk and you wait for the next 5 years. But during that time, you are in the political wilderness. Dominicans, we can do better than that. We as a people, we have to wake up in this country. And there will come a time when you will have a choice. And as a good book says, choose you now. Choose you now. You can't be serving two. You have to make a choice. And that choice should be primarily for your livelihood, for your family's livelihood, for your sustenance, for country's development. That's the choice. That's the only choice. Any other will be to your detriment. The days are coming, Dominica. Close this draw letter. $7:30 Dominicans. Let's see how far we can get now into the details of Mr. Langlaw and his court case. Let's see. Let's see. Folks, as I said, we will not be able to go into all of this tonight because it is a very lengthy document. But just so that you understand some things much better, wherever we reach and the clock strikes at least 5 to 8, we will cut it off. So we have like 20 minutes to go. Now, this document, people that I'm reading from, just for clarity, it is a public document. It is a court document that was filed in 2018 by Mr. Daniel Langlaw of Petit Coulibaly against Mr. Jonathan Lira of Bois Cotlet in the same constituency. All right? So nothing in that document, there's nothing to hide in that document. But that document, it will put into sharper focus for us some of the legal troubles that Mr. Langlaw and Jonathan Lira had in the constituency, whereby if the law had kicked in earlier, just maybe Mr. Langlaw and Miss Dominic would have been alive today. It says here, Dominica, in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, in the High Court of Justice, Commonwealth of Dominica, the suit number is DOMHCV 223/2018. Okay? Between Mr. Daniel Langlaw, 1, that's party number 1, party number 2 as claimants, is his place, or was his place, Petit Coulibaly Guest Cottages, Inc. All right? Good. And it says here, and Jonathan Lira, that is party number 1 as a defendant, and party number 2 as a defendant as well. It's his property, that is Jonathan Lira property, that is Bois Cotlet, Inc. So, Mr. Langlaw were the claimants in that matter, and were the claimant in that matter, and Mr. Jonathan Lira was the defendant in that matter. Brought in, the document says, as an intervener now, okay, which I will go a little more into explaining what that means in just a while. It is, or it was rather, the Attorney General who, based on knowledge, is Mr. Levi Peter of the Commonwealth of Dominica. It says here the appearances for both parties, that is defendant and also the claimant, Lisa De Freitas of De Freitas and Freitas, and Johnson for the applicants. So basically, Mr. Daniel had his lawyers out of De Freitas' chambers. Okay? We also have here acting for the defendant now, that is Mr. Lira, is Rose and Charles with Kondwani Williams of Williams and Hosford for the defendants. Now it also says here Tamika Hyacinth Burton, Solicitor General, with Joanne Xavier Coffey of the Attorney General Chambers for the interveners. So basically these attorneys here, they are working out of the Attorney General Chambers and also the Solicitor General. They man the case where the Attorney General, it named him up here. All right? Had to show. But I guess with matters like this, they normally send their lower rank or persons who work in the offices. What we're going to do, we're going to skip through some of the preambles and some of the opening statements. Now, just to say that the judge on this matter was Judge Bernie Stevenson Brooks, who served in Dominica as judge for some time. If memory serves me right, I don't want to quote her duration, lest I err, but I can tell you, comfortable, she was here for more than 10 years. All right? And it had to take some doing by some persons to sort of unseat her from Dominica in terms of a judge. But that matter was handled before Judge Stevenson Brooks at the time. Okay? Okay, so we'll skip that. Now, where I want to start with us here, because it gives about precedents and whatever the judge had to say to the both parties. Where I want to start us off tonight is with section number 7. This document, I think, has about 40 something or 45 or 46 there about sections, but we'll start at number 7 for information purposes tonight. After reading it, I thought starting here would give us a good snapshot of just what went on in the court between these two men all the way back in October of 2018. It says here, 7 says, what is the order which is in place? I guess that is what the judge is asking. And she answers that question by saying, it is the history of the injunctions granted in this claim. Starts with an injunction granted by the court on the 30th of October 2018. That was the injunction which prevented the defendants from blocking the Mont Rouge public road. Now, for those of you who are new to this case, the Mont Rouge public road there, people, is a road, a public road in the Soufriere constituency. Okay? Now, that road was the public road, or is the public road rather, that sort of was the center of controversy between these two gentlemen. And so you'll be hearing much more of that Mont Rouge road, Mont Rouge public road, as we continue on here to dissect what that court document is saying. All right, but just for information purposes, that Mont Rouge road here is a public road. It's considered to be a public road by statute, that is, in the Commonwealth of Dominica, in the south of the country. Number 8 says the first named claimant, that is Langlaw, is the owner of the property located at Petit Coulibrey in the parish of St. Mark, and the owner of the second named claimant, Petit Coulibrey Guest Houses. The property, it continues by saying, comprises 200 acres of land in the estates of Petit Coulibrey and the Bois Cotlet estates. Now, for those of you who don't know what is, or an idea of what is 200 acres of land, 1 acre of land, people, it is 43,000 square feet plus. Okay, to be precise, an acre of land is broken down into square feet, 43,560 square feet. 1 acre of land equals to or equates to 43,560 square feet. So when we are seeing here, Mr. Langlaw, his property comprised of 200 acres. So that will give us an idea, just an idea of the amount of land that Mr. Daniel had in the Soufriere area. Okay? Number 9 says, the claimants are in the final stage. That is Mr. Langlaw, the document is saying. Because as identified earlier, the claimant is or was Mr. Langlaw. The defendant is Mr. Jonathan Lira. So it says here at 9, the claimant are in the final stages of the construction of a hotel on their land and is said to have expended a large amount of money on the said project. That is self-explanatory. 10. Jonathan Lira, the first named defendant, is the owner of Bois Cotlet Inc. The second named defendant, which is the property located on part of Bois Cotlet Estate and comprises of 52.63 acres of land in the parish of St. Mark. That is in the south of Dominica, the parish of St. Mark. So unlike Mr. Daniel, the claimant, who had, because he's passed now, he's dead, 200 acres of land in the south. The document here says Mr. Lira, that is the alleged killer, alleged murderer. He's now supposedly or supposed to be sitting at Stockton prison awaiting another court appearance. His property is occupying, as we speak, 52 acres of land in the Bois Cotlet area. Okay? Number 11 says the access to the claimant's property. Now listen carefully, people. Number 11, when I read number 11, it struck me. It says here at 11, the access, those of you who are on here should understand what the word access mean. Meaning the place or the mode or the avenue to get to one's property. So the access, it is saying here, to the claimant's property via the Montrouge Public Road, which runs from Soufriere to Bois Cotlet. It continues on, gets more interesting. The public road runs through the property registered to the defendants as is shown on the certificate of title issued to the first named defendant. And folks, that is very, very crucial, a piece of information here. Basically, what I'm understanding number 11 to be saying, the road in which, or the access by which Mr. Daniel was to get to his property via the Montrouge Public Road, that is saying that that public road runs through the property registered to the defendants as is shown on the certificate of title issued to the first named defendant. And remember, we established before, the first named defendant is none other than Mr. Jonathan Lira. So, right there, people, number 11, it is critical to keep that in mind as we move forward into really trying to understand the dynamics that were at play up there. So just to reiterate that point, 11, the public road, which is the road that was in contention all along between these two gentlemen, the public road runs through, and that is what the document is saying, the court document is saying. This public road runs through the property registered to the defendants. Okay, the defendants meaning defendant 1, which is Jonathan Lira, defendant 2, his property, Bois-Cotlet, runs through the defendants, runs through the property, registered to the defendants as shown on the certificate. I guess they had the certificate exposed in the court, issued to the first name defendant. So right there, people, I am now understanding a level of controversy right there. Because what that is saying, for Mr. what's his name? Daniel, to have gotten to his property, it says that the access to the claimant's property via the Mont Rouge public road, that document is telling us that Mont Rouge road, it was part of the property that was registered in the name of Mr. Jonathan Lira. Take that into consideration, people. 12. It is the first named defendant action on this Mont Rouge road that is at the root of the issue before the court. So basically, again, it is saying here, it is the Mont Rouge road, right? The defendant's actions on the Mont Rouge road is at the root of the issue before the court. Other than that, these guys they didn't need to come to court. 13 continues by saying, it would appear that over the past 4 to 5 years, the defendants have been causing interference with the unobstructed and free use of the public road, culminating in October 2018, when on the 18th day of that month, the first named defendant blocked the road by placing boulders across the road, digging a trench across the said road, erecting metal pipes, and placing equipment and supplies on the road, denying the claimants and their employees access to their property. The defendant also is said to have directed the claimant's employees to pass along the defendant's private road to access the claimant's property. That is 13. We have to hurry on, people. In the interest of time, we may just do up to 16, 17 tonight in terms of paragraphs, and we will call it a night for tonight. But for sure, we will continue. 12, 13, 14 says, the claimants have instituted proceedings against the defendants for the alleged unlawful acts of obstructing the road, which has caused him injury, loss, and damage, tortious interference with their economic interests, and they are also seeking a permanent injunction against the defendants from the inter alia interfering with the use of the Mont Rouge public road. That is number 14. Let's hurry on. 15 says, on the 30th day of November 2018, the claimants, that is Mr. Daniel, applied for and obtained an ex parte interim injunction against the defendants who were required to unblock the Mont Rouge public road and to do all things necessary to restore the said property, public road to its condition as it existed prior to the 24th day of October 2018, when the defendants allegedly blocked it. 16 says, and 16 is a bit lengthy because it has, I think, 6 or 7 subheadings or sub-sentences. 16 says, on 20th November 2018, the application for the continuation of the injunction was heard, and on the date, the court ordered inter alia, 1, that is what the court ordered back then, 1, that the Attorney General is to be added to these proceedings as interveners. 2, that the defendants are permitted to run underground docks on the portion of land across the roadway. Now, before we go to 3 people, let me give you what an intervener is in terms of the legal lingo. So 1 says the Attorney General is to be added to the proceedings as interveners. That's what the court ordered. Now, an intervener, people, in law, it says it is when a party enters into a lawsuit by a third party into a court matter. But that intervener now, take note, that intervener now has a personal stake in the matter. So basically, if I would interpret or understand or make you understand what is being said here or suggested here, the Attorney General, as the court says, was to be added as an intervener in the matter, because originally it was just Mr. what's his name, Daniel, and Mr. Jonathan that had the issue. But because the case in question, the matter in question, is one where a public road is the subject matter, that is the cause for this strife, this back and forth, the court basically said that the Attorney General, who is supposed to be the legal person for the state, the lead legal person for the state, because at the end of the day, it is a state road, it is a state property that is in question. And so that is why, in terms of the interpretation now of who an intervener is, it says that an intervener have to have a stake in the matter. So it is not Levi Peter personally, but it is the government of Dominica. He represented the government of Dominica, because the government now has a stake in the matter, whichever way that matter go in the court between these 2 gentlemen. Because at the end of the exercise, it is not Daniel's road, it is not Jonathan's road, it is the government's road, it is the people's road. Hence, the introduction into the matter as a party now, the Attorney General. So I just wanted to clarify that. 3, the defendants understand that the claimants do not object to the running of the said underground docks under the roadway subject to this litigation. 4, the defendant shall inform the claimant through their solicitors as to the exact location for the laying down of the docks. 5, so these are what the court basically, handed down in terms of trying to, appease the situation up there between these 2 gentlemen. 5, the defendants will schedule the works to be done to which laying of the docks for the running of the wires subterranean in 2 phases, and shall inform the claimants through their solicitors at least 24 hours before the work are commenced. 6, the defendants, that is Mr. Jonathan and his property people, agree that when the laying of the docks is to take place, vehicles will be allowed to pass on the defendant's land around the lane of the docks. 7, I told her it was 6 or 7, but it's about 12. 7 here says, the claimants agree that there shall be no heavy traffic during that period of time. 8, the defendant agrees that the exercise of the lane of the dock shall not be done more than over a 24-hour period. Should the exercise of lane of the docks require more than the defendant's should the exercise of laying the docks require more time, the defendants are to inform the claimants through the solicitors no later than 12 hours before. 9, the defendant shall also inform the village council and the Soufriere police station of the time that they will be laying the said docks. The 10, that the defendant shall ensure that the pipes that are visible in DL6 are covered until a decision is made in this matter. 11, the defendants are permitted to put tariff on the roadway. 12, the parties shall file an agreed list of issues to the court to consider on or before December 6. The final one people will be doing tonight is 17, in the interest of time. It says here at 17, the matter was heard, right? That's the matter we're just talking about now. The matter was heard on the 21st of December 2018, and the court entertained 2 applications at that hearing. Firstly, the application to continue the injunction, and secondly, the application to access the defendant's property. Both sides have filed a number of lengthy affidavits with numerous exhibits in support of their positions in the matter. After some brief arguments by counsel on both sides, the court made a further order for the written submissions aforesaid. And then, folks, it gets even dicier with the second heading, talking about where the court was considering the continuation of that interlocutory injunction. All right, folks, that is all the time we have for tonight in terms of information, in terms of information, as the French would say. I always want to thank you for your efforts in terms of staying the course for 2 hours. I know there are many things that you could be doing for your 2 hours, but you know, that's how time flies. But for sure, we will continue in on that document, because what happened in the south of Dominica, it could happen anywhere else. And so that court document really gives us a snapshot, a good idea as to what really and truly was going down between these 2 gentlemen, whereby 1 man and 1 woman, as we speak, they're dead. And they didn't die of natural causes. The investigation so far shows that they were brutally cut down. And if you want to hear much more about what we think, or the mindset in Dominicans by some people, you want to be part of the Civic Vibes program tomorrow, whereby a Dominican living in the UK, he will join us as guest, and he will give his perspective, his take as to what transpired in the south of Dominica, and just how in moving forward we can fix that as a people. All right. Finally, what I want to say to us is that we have not heard any. Okay, let me retract that statement. Let me leave that alone for now. So, folks, that is it for me. That is it for you in terms of time. I want to thank you very much for your time, each and every time. Someone here can just punch a song that you want to hear before we go, because it is now 8 o'clock on the money. And if you guys know me very well, I am a man, when time says that's it, I normally heal to that time. All right? So thank you very much. See you next week Saturday for another 2-hour engagement. But before that, tomorrow from 6 o'clock on the Civic Vibes program. Anybody? Let me see if I see a song here of your choice, so at least I can make one person's night before I leave. Let's go, people. Anybody? Somebody?